Okay, I'm going to get started. This will be recorded. I am recording, so anybody who arrives late can revisit via the recording. Firstly, welcome. Thanks for coming. We run these every week, and I usually try to get the building part of this session done in the first 15 minutes. Sometimes it goes to 20 minutes. I'll try not to go much longer than that because we always try to have Q&A after that. So what we're building this week is a content calendar managing agent. I will show you the content calendar template. It's going to use the Google Sheets tool to take content produced by an agent in AutoHive and put it on a content calendar. We're kind of continuing on from something we built last week. So don't worry if you weren't here last week. The recording of that is available, and there are also many different ways to skin this cat, right? So you don't have to build the exact same team of agents. It's more understanding the concepts of how I'm going to prompt, and then you can put your own sort of spin on it. So I'm going to move reasonably quickly. There's sort of two parts to it today, and I'm going to try and squeeze it all into 15 or 20 minutes as best I can. So part one, I'll show you the content calendar template. I'm going to use a new agent that we've recently published called Use Case Brainstormer, and Use Case Brainstormer is going to help us develop a brief for the new agent that we're creating. Then we're going to use that brief to write the agent's instructions, and we'll build that agent then. We'll quickly test that agent and make sure that it can post to the content calendar spreadsheet accurately and effectively. Once we've got that, then we're going to apply this new agent that we've built as a tool to the agent that we built last week. So the agent that we built last week was a social media ideas agent, effectively. And so it helps us come up with ideas, and we can tell it which platforms we want it to come up with ideas for. And so we're going to give this agent the new agent as a tool, and then it can post to the spreadsheet after it's done its ideation part. So let me share my screen and I will get stuck in. And this is being recorded, so you can revisit it afterwards if you want to build along. So, okay, so I'm inside the content calendar week workspace here. If you need to create a new workspace, and you can create them and delete them as you like. So I tend to use these I create sandboxes whilst I'm mucking around, and then I delete them afterwards. You can click on workspaces and go create workspace. I've already got the workspace, so I'm going to go browse agents over here. And the agent that we're looking for is Use Case Brainstormer. So this is in alphabetical order. So here it is. I've just hit Get Agent, and now it's inside our workspace. It actually uses this agent prompt writer as a tool, which is why we've now got both of them, even though we only effectively asked for one of them. They both need to be in the workspace in order to work effectively as a team. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to prompt this Use Case Brainstormer to help us create the brief for the new agent. And I'm going to do this using my voice. I've just opened my text-to-speech or speech-to-text tool, rather. So here we go. Okay, let's create a brief for a new agent. I need to build an agent to manage a content calendar for us, which lives in a Google Sheet. Once the agent is using the Sheets tool effectively, it will be added as a tool for another agent to use. The other agent is our social media content ideas agent. So once those ideas are generated, then these existing ideas, or the existing ideas agent, will use our new agent to save the ideas into a content calendar spreadsheet. So let's give this content calendar manager agent the freedom to select which date within October 2025 it chooses for each post idea if the date is not provided by the user. It can add them to the calendar wherever it chooses within the month. So that tool is now going to transcribe what I've said. Whilst it's doing that, I'll just hop over here and show you the structure. Oh, whoops, I've just put that in the wrong place now. Just click over here. There we go. Let me just remove that. Yeah. So it's a relatively simple structure. for the spreadsheet, day of the month, and then platforms, and then obviously copy ideas for each post will go in each day of the month. So I'll hit send on this. So Use Case Brainstorm was designed to help you bridge the gap between I've got this idea and the execution of the idea. It will help you get as far as a brief for the agent or the workflow that you might build. It also has this other agent prompt writer available to help write the instructions once we've got as far as the brief. So Use Case Brainstorm was saying this sounds like a fantastic practical solution. Just to make sure I'm on the right track, the new agent will receive content ideas, be responsible for adding them to a specific Google Sheet, and have the key features of intelligently picking an open date if one isn't assigned. A couple of quick questions. Who will be relying on this content? So I'm going to answer these questions to give it some more information for the brief. Is it a critical document for a larger department? No, this should be treated as a place to keep ideas. It's not a critical doc. Could you tell me a bit more about the Google Sheet itself? Okay, so it's probably easiest just to tell it the structure of this, and I've actually already written this down, so I'm going to paste it in. The structure of the sheet. Here we go. And if you don't do this, here's what I've written about the structure. If you don't do this, it's something that will come out in the wash as you test this agent and use it. You might come back to the prompt writer, which helps write instructions, and say, hey, this agent doesn't seem to know the structure of the spreadsheet and it's putting my ideas all over the place. And it will help you rewrite the instructions to fix that. I'm just trying to take that step out of the process so that I don't chew up too much time here. So I'm sending this one, and we should now get closer to Use Case Brainstormer starting to write us a brief. Oh, so it's saying the key logic: receive content idea and a platform from the other agent. We'll test this without providing it as a tool for the other agent initially, just to make sure that it's working. If a day of month is provided, if no day of month is provided, this approach makes the agent very reliable and predictable. Does this sound? Let's say, yes, that sounds great. Could you please write the brief now for this agent build? So now it should give us a brief. It might do this to the right-hand side and inside an artifact. Oh no, it's going to write it in the thread. Okay, that's cool. So it's telling us in detail the core capabilities and what the workflow is effectively that the agent or team of agents will work in. And I mentioned before that it has this prompt writer agent as a tool. So when you're coming to build stuff, I recommend you start with Use Case Brainstormer, and it should ask you the right questions to extract enough information to create a really useful brief. Once you get to a brief that you're happy with, and you can go through this for as long as it takes to get to a brief that you're happy with. Now I'm going to say, yes, please use prompt writer to write the agent instructions now. So this agent can use the other agent as a tool. So it should provide it the brief that it's written, and it should get back the instructions for our new agent. Whilst it's doing that, I'm going to jump across to integrations and make sure that we've got the right ones connected. So that's up top in the integrations tab. I'm going to connect the Google Drive integration so it can look through Drive and find the spreadsheet that we're working with. And I'm going to also authenticate the Google Sheets tool. Okay, so now we've got those two authenticated. You can see that because it's changed the connect button has changed to disconnect. So let's jump back to Use Case Brainstormer, and we'll go back to the conversation we were in. So now we've got really comprehensive instructions. And if you were going to write these instructions for the agent yourself, the chances are you wouldn't write this amount of detail. So that's the power of using a prompt engineer. And that's what prompt writer is. Effectively, it's a prompt engineer. So all I'm going to do now is hit copy on these instructions. And then up top here, I'll go to the plus button and I'll go create agent. And let's call it content calendar manager. Helps us place ideas on the calendar each month. Now, for a job like this, it doesn't require a reasoning model. It's not really multi-step. So you can probably get away with using a smaller model. And sometimes when you find that it has trouble making the tool call to put something on the spreadsheet, you might try changing the model to see if things improve. Let's have a go with 4.1 mini first. And I'll turn its temperature down. It doesn't need to do anything creative. Temperature, if you're not familiar with it, is effectively a measure of the creativity that the agent is allowed. So we'll turn the creativity down because it doesn't need it. It's not doing the ideas, it's going to receive the ideas. So it doesn't have to be creative, it just has to be consistent in putting them on the spreadsheet. I'll turn it down even further. Let's go up 1 by. And now I've pasted those instructions that we got from the use case brainstormer into the agent instructions section. Let's say that this process of putting these on the spreadsheet saves us 15 minutes every time it runs. We'll add the capabilities. So we've already authenticated these. Google Sheets is one. These are all of the things that it can do within Google Sheets. And sometimes, depending on what you're building and what you want the agent to do, it might not need all of these things. It's up to you whether you leave them in or take them out. I'm going to leave them all there for now. Now I'll go to Google Drive and the same thing. Again, I'll leave all of these in, but there might be reasons why you might not want it to have a rename file. You might never want it to do that, for example. So those are authenticated now and added to the agent. This agent, I will leave full web search access on because when we test it, I'm going to ask it to come up with some ideas before I add it to the other agent as a tool that it can use. It doesn't need to search our workspace content. That's if you've got a file up here in the content area that you want it to access, then you would leave that on, but I don't want it to confuse itself by going to look there. So I'll press create. Okay, so let's take it for a quick spin and see whether it can see the spreadsheet. So please check Google Drive using your Drive tool and tell me if you can see the marketing content calendar spreadsheet, please. So we're trying to get it to find this. Okay. Could you please just put one single example Facebook post on the spreadsheet for the 1st of October, please? The content of the post is irrelevant. It's a test. So it should appear over here. And if it doesn't pass this test, it may be that in the system instructions, it hasn't been given clear enough instructions on the layout of the spreadsheet that it's using, but it might also figure that out itself. So let's see. Reading day of month column, find row for first. So maybe I'll get out of that cell just in case that's a problem. There it is. Test Facebook post for 1st of October. So it has successfully posted in there, and we know this agent's working now. I gave it a date and it used that date. If I hadn't given it a date, it might have just picked another day in the month because that's what's in its instructions. So I mentioned before that was part one, and so part two now is I'm going to grab this AutoHive Socials Guy agent, and this is what we built last week. And I'm going to now give the Content Calendar Manager agent to this agent as a tool that it can use. So I'm coming into agent settings on AutoHive Socials Guy. Shall I re-authenticate? Yeah, I'll re-authenticate this because this is part of its workflow. This agent finds ideas for social media content, and it's doing that by looking at a Slack channel. So I'm just going to re-authenticate this so it doesn't error before it gets through its workflow effectively. So it's got a higher creativity. See, it's at 0.6 because it needs to have a level of creativity because it's doing the actual ideation. So to add the other agent as a tool in the, I'll just close that again. And in add integrations and agents, by default, you see the integrations, the tools. But if you click here and go agents, then you can now see other agents inside the same workspace that this agent is allowed or able to use as a tool. So if we add the content calendar manager agent now, you'll see this also has a brand voice agent. It should use that agent to rewrite its ideas so that it sounds more in line with the brand that we want it to sound like. So let's do this. So now it's got that extra tool. If I had time after we've done this, I would take the instructions for this AutoHive Socials guy back to the prompt engineer and say, hey, we've given this agent a new tool. I want you to help me give it awareness of this new tool so that it uses it in its workflow every time. We can make it use it by just prompting it, I hope. So let's try that. Okay, could you just provide me 3 ideas for Facebook and 3 ideas for LinkedIn, please, by checking your sources? So this agent goes out to 3 website URLs, I think, that we gave it permission to look at. And it also looks at the Slack channel for wins. So we might see it pull something through from the Slack channel. That's an example channel where I've added there's a PR article about our CEO, JD, and there's maybe a comment about some integrations that have been approved in various marketplaces recently. So we might see some of that content in the ideas that it brings back. So it's gone to its sources, business desk technology. It's checked recent messages and winning. It's now using its brand voice agent. And just for a laugh last week, this brand voice agent talks like Gandalf the Grey, I think. So when it's returned its final ideas, they should sound like they were written by Gandalf. And if they were, then it's used its brand voice agent correctly. Okay, so inside the tool call, it looks like it is using Gandalf. Let's see whether it provides that to us when it's finished. Here we go. That looks like it's worked. That sounds a bit like Gandalf, doesn't it? Most extraordinary news from the kitchens. Our inaugural gathering of minds to study the arcane arts of AI-assisted cookery has drawn such enthusiasm. Kitchen wizardry, culinary arts. Cool. So that's worked. It did the ideation by going away to its sources. It used its brand voice agent to pull them back as though they'd been written by Gandalf. Obviously, that's fairly useless unless your brand sounds like Gandalf, but you can build your own brand voice agent using the brand voice analyzer that is available in AutoHive that we've built already. So the last test now for this agent is whether it can put these on the spreadsheet by using its other tool. So let's ask. Okay, those ideas are great. Can you please put these in the spreadsheet by using your content calendar manager agent tool? You should put the Facebook and the LinkedIn ideas in their relevant columns. So I deliberately didn't give it a date there to see whether Content Calendar Manager picks where they go, or if it might just do 1, 2, 3 in a month. But because this AutoHive Socials guy agent doesn't have knowledge of this tool yet, I've just told it that it has it. It might have a slightly unpredictable result. Let's see. But the correct or the best practice now would be to take these system instructions to Prompt Writer and say, we've enhanced this agent. It now has a content calendar manager agent that it can use to place its ideas on a spreadsheet. So please instruct it to always do that when it's finished drafting posts, for example. And then the prompt writer will provide new instructions, and you just go back to agent settings and paste those instructions in and press save. So let's see what happens over here. I said Facebook and LinkedIn, right? So still attempting. Out of interest, this is running on 4.1. Okay, jump back to that thread. It's doing quite a lot of thinking. So to get this done, if we encounter an error here, I'm not sure we will yet. We'll wait and see. You might change the model to a more of a reasoning model, right? It looks like it has worked. The Facebook content ideas have been added to the first available empty cells. Aha, there we go, done. Interesting and pretty cool that it realized this cell wasn't empty because there was an example in there. And then it bumped them down to second, third, and fourth instead of first, second, third. So that's cool. That was a quick build, though I have gone over time a bit. Sorry about that. And so now you can see using the Drive tool, the Sheets tool, and other agents as tools of one another inside AutoHive can be pretty powerful. And if you don't already have that socials ideas agent, you could attempt to build this so that one single agent has all of these responsibilities. I'm pretty confident it would still be a success, but by keeping the job descriptions really narrow, I always find that you get a far more predictable, reliable result than if you give a single agent 3 jobs, which would be research the content from those 3 different sources, write it like it sounds like it's come from Gandalf, and then post it into the content sheet. If you try and ask it to do all of those things, it might start to trip itself up. So that's why I've broken them out into separate agents. And again, that use case brainstormer agent will hopefully help you to do that. It'll help you plan the project based on the complexity of the build and the stakes. So if, for example, these agents were posting directly to social media, the stakes go up. And in that scenario, we might even break it out further into separate agents. You might have a proofreading agent. You might have a human in the loop somewhere. Yeah, so take use case brainstormer for a spin. And if you've got any feedback, I would love to hear it. Last thing before we take some questions. I mentioned Brand Voice Analyzer. If you want to create your own brand voice for your business or for yourself to help you write stuff that sounds more authentically like you, for you to check, Brand Voice Analyzer is that tool. So if you start a conversation with it, it will help you go through the process of creating that agent for yourself. Cool. All right, I'll stop presenting, and if anybody is brave enough to ask the first question, we've got 6 minutes or so to rattle through any questions.